Your attitude to that driver was amazing. She was found guilty of talking on her phone. Her phone was hands-free. People may be shocked at the fine. She was fined £90. She was given 5 points on her licence. Now, there's lots of things we can talk about there. Was that because there is no provision for this on the statute books? First of all, let me just talk about the punishment. Or a life was lost here. Why was the penalty deemed to be so inconsequential?
The other thing they could have prosecuted for was using a mobile phone. And in Lincolnshire, the police have decided that's a mandatory prison sentence.
Right.
And the police felt that that wasn't appropriate, and I agreed because she's a mum herself.
Yeah.
I knew, because people tell you, that she herself was traumatised and
But this is the amazing
upset.
thing about you. This makes you very, very special. You lose this little boy, the 7-year-old boy. As you say, you in your heart are convinced that the lady who was chatting on her phone at the time, you don't believe she deliberately set out to kill your son, or you empathise with her in a way that I think so many people could not have done, and I would include myself maybe in that. What did you say to her?
I said to her, well, when I saw her was at the inquest, and so I followed her out of the room so I could speak to her, because she was obviously upset. She was crying, she was shaking, she was suffering, and I knew that I'm the only person who can say to her that she had to let it go for the sake of herself and her children and her family, and that nothing's going to bring back Seth, but she needs to live her life, and you know, she's got a life and she needs to do the best with it and look after her family and her children, and for more people to suffer anymore, there's no point.
Well, that is an incredible attitude for you to have after what happened to Seth, but as you said, she wasn't speeding and she was hands-free. But what would you like to see so that nobody else has to go through what you've been through, this terrible time? How do you view people using mobile phones in any shape or form now, whether it's hands-free or not, in a car?
Well, to me, at that time, we didn't have the research we have now. And so many people, more people would say it's fine to do this. And to me, it's the attitude of society. I mean, it's about people, her not suffering too, somebody else not suffering by doing this. It's the fact that what I would say is I believe that we shouldn't make a phone call that we can leave, because phone calls are never more important than somebody's life. And that the research is now showing that it impedes your driving if you're talking on a mobile phone.
But
what about, Alice? Yeah.
What is the difference between talking on a hands-free mobile phone and Ruth and I sitting in the car together talking?
That's exactly one of the points that many people bring up. The fact is, if you're talking to a passenger, they are in the same environment as you, they're in the same situation, they are aware of what is around them, and they will adjust the research very clearly shows they will adjust what they're doing. We all will, you know. If something's coming straight towards the car, you will notice it and you will adjust it.
Or if you're talking and you think, I'm pulling out at a difficult junction, that other person will probably naturally stop talking.
Stop talking or calm down, or even point out what's happening on the road if they feel you haven't noticed. They will change it.
OK, that's people. What about devices? What about something like a sat-nav, which is a complicated thing, and it talks back to you and it can be very irritating and difficult?
I actually think a sat-nav is helpful, because if you don't know where you're going, you have to make split decision choices and you can do things that are more dangerous. So I find sat-navs are actually quite helpful.
You may have to reprogram your route because of traffic conditions. It talks back to you in a way that, you know, change your route now.
Well, you're still looking at where the arrow's pointing, aren't you? So it's still a distraction of a sort. It's
a distraction. I don't think it's... The research to me, it's there, but you have to look at signs on the road. You have to look and take in a lot of other things, and that is another thing that's helping you know where you're going.
And it's part of being on the road process,
it's
rather
part
than
of the process. It's
conversation.
not taking your mind off your driving. It's supporting your driving.
Alice, a lot of people are in touch, like Charlotte here, and they're saying that we've got these Bluetooth systems installed in our cars and encourages us to use them. You would recommend those being disabled then? You would recommend in the future? Yeah, OK. Daniel, the penalty that this lady received wasn't easy at all. She still has to live with the fact of what she did. Those nightmares will be with her forever, which is what you appreciate and understand as well. If you can't pay attention, Gemma says, to the road, don't drive. Phones and even fiddling with the radio should not be allowed. It's not worth risking someone's life. The law should get tougher on people that kill or injure whilst using the phones. They're clearly breaking the law, says Caroline.
What about the penalties, Alice? This lorry driver, Thomas Croker, got 10 years guilty of death by dangerous driving. Do you think that's enough of a deterrent for other people?
Obviously 10 years is a big deterrent. What I feel is the difficulty, especially in the Mike case and in other cases with the lesser penalties, is that people see it as more... the reason I'm asking for it to be banned is I feel that we need a clear message. We need to know that it's as unacceptable as getting into a car drunk as to take a phone call or make a phone call.